It's time now for a look at the day's top business news, and we're starting with a new development in the ongoing trade war between the US and China, as Washington says a key hurdle to resolving the conflict is nearly cleared. Brian Quinn is here from our business desk to tell us more. Brian.
That's right, Axie. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says Washington and Beijing have agreed to set up enforcement officers in the two countries' offices, that is, to ensure compliance with the terms of an eventual deal to end their trade war. Well, enforcement's been a major sticking point as the two sides near the final stages of their negotiations, with Donald Trump threatening to maintain tariffs on Chinese goods until compliance can be proven. Washington is seeking major reforms to Chinese trade practices like intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers, and industrial subsidies. Phone negotiations between Mnuchin and Chinese Vice Premier Liu He are set to resume Thursday. Checking in on the markets, Asian indexes mostly stepping back from 8-month highs on Thursday afternoon. The Nikkei in Tokyo fairly flat all day, finishing the day up just over 0.1%. Chinese indexes losing some ground despite shares in tech giant Tencent gaining in Hong Kong. Kospi in Seoul down just over 0.25%, nearing the closing bell today. Next, farmers from Africa and the EU are calling on Brussels to do more to regulate dairy trade between the two continents. Organizers say surplus European milk is dumped on the African market, driving farmers there out of business, and that the milk is a health hazard as it's frequently mixed with palm oil. They say the EU has increased its exports of fat-filled milk powder to Africa by 24% since 2016. Oxfam says the dumping practice is even contributing to migration trends.
It's important because we have more than 40 million of people in West Africa who are living from milk production and livestock. So when you destroy their livelihood, they have no choice to migrate in Europe or abroad.
The next images of torched shops and tear gas on the Champs-Élysées during the Yellow Vest protest movement have caused significant alarm in France's tourism industry. But for 2018, at least, it looks like the country managed to maintain its appeal to visitors. According to France's National Statistics Agency, the number of nights spent in hotels, Airbnbs, and campsites rose by nearly 10 million last year. Erin Ogunkeye and our colleagues from France 3 have more.
2018 marked a record-breaking spike in tourism in France, particularly in and around Paris. Among the most visited sites, the Notre Dame Cathedral, the Louvre Museum, and the Palace of Versailles.
Oh, I love France. I love Paris. It's awesome. It's the best city ever.
I love Paris because it's a magnificent city. There's no architecture like this in my country.
In total, tourists spent more than 432 million nights in France. That's 9 million more than in 2017. And the rise is largely thanks to non-EU visitors. Visits from the United States rose by 16% and from Japan by 18%. Despite political upheaval in the final months, 2018 delivered a promising outlook for the industry.
2018 was a renewal, a record-breaking year. We didn't necessarily recover our average prices, but we're now on the right track for obtaining the numbers we had in 2013 and 2014 when things were very good. But from November on, we did see a decrease in reservations due to the Yellow Vest movement.
In December, the Yellow Vest crisis put a small dent in the tourism sector, with the number of tourists visiting France falling by 1.1% and by 5.3% in Paris alone. France, nonetheless, remains the most visited country in the world.
And finally, for business, France's Yellow Vests aren't the only ones worried about falling purchasing power. A new report for the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development says the entire developed world's middle class is in danger as the ultra-rich capture more and more of the fruits of economic growth. Average workers are facing stagnating incomes and unstable employment as education and housing costs rise faster than inflation. In the past decade, the top 10% of earners in OECD countries have seen their incomes rise 1/3 more than those in the middle bracket. In the U.S., the top 1% now take in 20% of total annual income. The OECD warns that political instability, including a turn to populist anti-establishment movements, are a consequence of this rising inequality. It's something we're seeing more and more of these days, Axie.
Brian Quinn with that business update. Thank you very much indeed.